Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how we do things around here. We take a topic and really unpack it. And today we're diving into a book that kind of blew my mind a little bit. It's called Rework by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. It's definitely a book that makes you question everything you thought you knew about, work and success.
Yeah, exactly. So for this deep dive, we've got Rework itself, obviously, but also, did you happen to catch Jason and David on that Book Talk podcast?
Oh, absolutely. Had to listen to that one. I don't know, they just have such a refreshing way of looking at things. No sugarcoating.
Right. That's what I loved about it. They're just straight up like, here's what works and here's what doesn't. So let's start there. Let's talk about some of the stuff that Rework says just flat out doesn't work. I know one of the big ones is this whole idea of the traditional business plan. Like, they basically say to just chuck it out the window.
Yeah, and I can see why some people might find that a little jarring, but when you think about it, the way they explain it makes sense. I mean, we live in such a fast-paced world now. Things change constantly. And so spending months and months, perfecting this detailed business plan, it's kind of like by the time you're actually ready to launch, the whole landscape could have shifted.
So it's like planning for a battle, but then the enemy shows up with completely different weapons.
Exactly. It's like, what's the point? And Frood and Heinemeier Hansson, they're all about like action over endless planning. They have this whole start small, think big philosophy.
Which honestly sounds kind of scary at first. I mean, what if you put something out there and it's just not ready?
That's actually exactly what they address. They say, you know what? The faster you launch, even if it's not perfect, the quicker you can get feedback, like real, genuine feedback from actual customers, and use that feedback to actually improve what you're doing.
Okay, so instead of like hauling yourself up for months trying to get everything perfect, you put it out there, even if it's a little rough around the edges, and then you learn from how people use it.
Exactly. And they use the example of Basecamp, their own company. It started as like a pretty basic project management tool, but they kept refining it, adding features and making changes, all based on what their users were telling them. And look at it now, it's this massive platform, but it all came from that, starting small and adapting as you go.
That's a really good point. So we've talked about ditching the traditional business plan, starting small, getting that quick feedback. What else? What else did they kind of throw a wrench into, when it comes to conventional business wisdom?
They go after a lot of secret cows, but one of the most interesting ones is their idea of embracing constraints.
Okay, hold on. Constraint. Most people would see that as a bad thing, right? Like something that holds you back.
Yeah, that's definitely the traditional thinking. But Fried and Heinemeier Hansson, they're all about flipping that on its head. They say that limitations can actually be the fuel for creativity.
I'm not sure I get it. How can having limitations be a good thing?
Think of it this way. When you have like all the resources in the world, unlimited time, unlimited budget, it's too easy to get scattered, lose focus. But when you have constraints, you're forced to be more resourceful. You have to prioritize what's truly important, and make tough decisions.
So instead of seeing a limitation as a wall, you see it as an opportunity to like problem solve, to get creative with your solutions.
Exactly. It pushes you to work smarter, not harder. And it kind of ties into another one of their big points, which is staying lean. Fried, he talks a lot about resisting that urge to like hire a ton of people right away or add all these bells and whistles to your product before you even know if anyone wants them.
It's like sometimes less is more, right?
Absolutely. And they argue that focusing too much on what your competitors are doing can actually like stifle your own unique vision. They say trust your instincts and focus on building something truly amazing that actually solves a real problem for your customers.
So if our listener is going to take away one thing from this deep dive into rework, what would you say it is?
I'd say stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start. Ditch the procrastination, embrace the constraints, and just dive headfirst into action.
That's such a great point. Don't let those old rules hold you back. And for our listeners, as you go about your week, think about this. What's something you've been putting off? Maybe it's time to channel that rework energy and go for it. Until next time, keep diving deep.